Yo, yo. You know that. Marvel, what's up, bro? You good, my G? Uh, hey. Wow. Hello, Shakina. What's good? Hello, everybody. In 1 minute, we are going to start the hashtag. Not all of us. Let me write that down. Hashtag not all of us. Wait, I'm gonna do something better. We have started our Kankan. Okay, I'm gonna talk. We have started our hashtag not all of us Instagram account, and I will pin this. Okay, so I started only a few days ago, so we're in the process of getting it up and running, and to have lots of content. Hey everybody, Milan gang, what's up? Yo, what's up, people? Thank you all for coming tonight. In a few minutes, we're going to have Shiv. She's from India, and oh, uh, let me request. Go live with. We have Shivangi join us, and she. What?
Yo,
Yo.
what up?
Hello.
What's
How are you?
happening? I'm
Yo.
cool, man.
So we have 30 now. What the fuck? Hey.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi everyone. Welcome to hashtag not all of us.
Welcome, peeps. Not
We
all
are
of us.
we are
This
here.
great initiative by this super cool guy.
Thank you. We yeah, everybody type your flags. Type your flags.
Okay, since a lot of people are joining in now, do you want to like introduce the whole concept again so everyone knows what they're in for?
Yes. So, hello everybody. My name is Dwaddy. I'm Dwaddy, and we are we just started hashtag not all of us 3 weeks ago. This is our third live stream, and what we're doing is we're kickstarting the conversation on racism. And how it started is like in in China they were not allowing black people to rent in places, and the pictures went on social media. But what actually was happening was they were kicking black African people out of their homes uh, because they were blaming them for being the cause of coronavirus. And I thought that was, messed up. And me and a friend, we spoke and we're like, let's talk about this. It's been too long that this shit we just let it slide. So we started
Mhm.
talking about this. We've done two weeks, and today Marv, my partner, is not able to join us today because he's in drama school, and he's the only black boy in his class, and they're trying to kick him out really, by giving him a lot of work. So we want to give him as much power as we can today. Um, because he's with us today, so thank you, Marv, for joining us.
Hey, he's here. Nice. Hello to
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Shiv, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay,
Oh,
so I'm
I'm gonna
Shivangi.
so sorry, I'm gonna introduce. I forgot that. So
Yeah, introduce me.
yeah, I'm Dweddy. I'm a full-time model. I met Shivanshi um in London where
Graduate Fashion Week.
we're doing graduate fashion week. She was
Yeah.
my makeup artist and saved my evening. Uh, that happened, and I've come home to Perth, Australia, because of the coronavirus. I would be somewhere in France right now, probably. Um, and I love music, and I love fashion, and I love life. So on to you.
Awesome. Well, I'm Shivangi and I do makeup and I love everything, man. I find love in everything. So
Cool,
that's pretty much it. That's my description.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. And you do makeup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. How's that?
Super cool, of course. Just like makeup is.
How
Yeah.
long did you have to study makeup?
Well, I don't feel like I had to study it. I wanted to study it so that I could get new perspective on it, basically. Um, which I will elaborate on later as more into the conversation because it also changed the way I saw beauty in as a whole, you know.
Right.
And before that, like I still was learning makeup, but I feel like studying it just made it like it was like whoa, you know, makeup can be this. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool, cool, cool. So where you're from? You're from Delhi,
I'm from New Delhi in India.
New
Yeah.
Delhi, India. You born there, grew up there.
Yeah. I've lived here my entire life. I've never lived elsewhere. I have only studied in UK for 3 years.
Yeah.
You can't say I lived there for 3 years, but yeah, it's
You went
just
to school, really.
yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. And you
Hmm.
were in Southampton.
Yes, I was in Southampton,
Did you
my
like
little
it?
small city. Yeah,
Cool, cool. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna
cool.
get right
Let's do
into it.
it.
Today we are yes, King David of Waiwa. He's gonna be my next week. So yes, I'm glad everyone's here today. I'm so happy, Lisa Kinski. I'm so happy you're here today. All my people here. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, um, with regards of racism, um, and in India, you have is the second largest country in the world. Um,
Third.
third. Which one is second?
No, India's not even third. India is seventh, bro. India's not that large. I think first is oh my god, this is horrible.
I know, and second is India.
No. Third largest is Canada, no?
I doubt Canada has 1 billion people.
No, we're not talking population, we're talking about like largest
No,
in
by people. People.
okay, by people, yeah. India's
Yeah.
highly populated, highly
The
populated
second largest country in the world
in
with
population.
1.3 something billion,
Yeah, we're
um,
highly populated.
which is crazy. So I want to know, is there a distinction, a difference if you're from a certain part of India, like north, south, east, west, central?
Yeah, huge amounts, man. I mean, like, I never realized it growing up because I was not interacting with that many people who did not live in Delhi. So, like, a lot of people, or like my friends or their parents mostly, they came from different parts of India. And then they just came to the big city, you know, and they happened to be here. And so did my parents as well. Although, like, we would not, it's not like they lived back home and then they just stayed here for some time, you know, like we were properly settled here. So, like, this was my growing up. I grew up around people who lived in Delhi, who are from Delhi. So, I didn't get to experience that much of a disparity in India, I would say.
Yeah.
But as I started growing up and I started, especially when I moved to UK, man, I mean, like, I met so many Indians there that
Yeah.
were not from Delhi, that were not from North India, that were from different parts, you know, different states, or like people who are from different parts of India living outside of India. And then you start realizing that, like, okay, you know, India is really big, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
there's there's I mean, like, if you talk about difference, it was more like we didn't notice it because we didn't meet those type of people, right? But you always knew that there was people like this living in these states. So we have like 29 states and I think about 7 union territories. You know, union territories.
Uh, like, 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 like states,
They're
you know,
they're just
like
yeah,
areas.
I mean they're like you can call them like independent states. They don't really come under any particular state, right?
Indeed.
Like Delhi. Okay, I told that to you. Uh, anyway, so it's just
Oh, by
you
the way, I
just
shaved. Look, look, look! I shaved. Oh my god.
nice, nice, fresh.
Fresh.
That's
Alright, sorry.
cool.
Go on.
What was I saying? Can't remember
Like
no more.
Union territories.
Yeah, about that. So if you imagine like 29 states and they're all huge, man, like some of them are really, really, really big and with like so many cities and that. So you can bound to imagine that they've all got their own own cultures and their own history, and that kind of leads to differences. Like I mean, it's beautiful in a way, but a
Yeah.
lot of times it's not because we're still human beings. Doesn't matter from how cultural a background you come from. If you come from a country full of cultures, at the end of the day, like, we're still human beings, so we don't really see the goodness in everything.
Yeah.
And it just happens so that people are called names or just looked down upon because they come from different places, or they have a different way to talk, or they look different, and their dialects are different, or the languages as a whole. Like, we don't like I don't understand a lot of Indian languages, and it's a shame that I was never pushed to be learnt. But it's just a way, like, we're grown up in this environment where everyone's just like, if you're different, you're just like, ugh, you know. So like growing up, you really have to like unlearn a lot of things to teach yourself that this is not right. So like inter-racism within the country is just horrible.
Yeah.
And even I remember, in fact, I was in school. I was not aware of this whole idea of racism. Like I told you, I wasn't meeting many people from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
um, or like different places. So I
Yeah.
didn't really see that many differences. But like as I learned in school about caste system and this that, over time I started realizing that India is kind of built on, like, our culture is built on a lot of racial discrimination and a lot of caste system. Um, not just because what we say racism is now, but like a lot of Indian abuses come from places and from people who were like untouchables, or they just came from villages that like maybe held a lot of people that were looked down upon.
Mm-hmm.
So like those have like now become like abuses, and we don't even know it because we don't know where those words are coming from. But if you actually look into it, it's really interesting that like things went like they were so intense
Yeah.
that they've become like a part of the norm, and no one realizes that, which is quite
Yeah.
sad, I think.
Which is why we're starting this, because if we stay silent, then this is gonna continue.
Yeah, of course.
So thank you for coming to join us today.
Of course.
So what you're saying is, um, like, untouchables are the pariahs. Am I correct? Like the lowest class, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, the lowest caste. So to explain the caste system for those who don't know, is like you're born into a family and your family is part of a caste. It's not a class, it's a caste, and it goes from top to bottom, and you would be in a caste and you can't change it, and like people from different castes treat each other differently, and then we're talking about the lowest caste now, called the untouchables. I think they couldn't get jobs. They couldn't really vote. Like, don't come near me, this kind of shit. And so actually, I draw a certain parallel with because I started this thing because of what happened in China.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, China is a hot topic now. Coronavirus came from
Yeah.
China. So I asked my friend, why are people racist in China? Why is Chinese people racist against African in China? And she said, because she was a minority in China too, so she experienced racism. And she's like, China became so powerful so quickly that now they have so much power, and they have a revenge racism. So I see the parallel with the Untouchables and the racism, and you know, like they suffered, right? So now they just do it and do it without thinking. So revenge racism, and yeah, because they've never been spoken about, you know, never really put in the media. Um,
Yeah.
Now they're getting away with it, and no one really knows. Uh, that's crazy. Ah,
Yeah. I mean, it is, but I feel like right now, a lot of us, especially living in a metropolitan city and in this urban lifestyle, we tend to forget about all the people who are living in
yeah,
more rural areas,
yeah,
and how their thinking is still like more backward than ours, because we're constantly moving like at the speed of 100 kilometers an hour with our
yeah,
thinking. Like every moment we just want to be more in the future, more in the future, more in the future. Whereas people are actually living quite slow and stagnant lives in so many parts of not just India but the world.
yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
still thinking the same things they probably did when, like, the previous generation did, almost.
The lack
And
of
we
culture.
still kind of follow those kind of norms, or like ethics. They still relate to, like, back to those.
Because
And
they've been taught new things, so you couldn't blame them really.
yeah. But
Mm.
whereas what I'm coming to is, someone like me who went to a good school, a fairly good school, like, even there, like, while growing up, I would have students in my class who would call each other names based on just the way they look, because everyone comes from different parts of India, right?
Right.
And we I'm living in the northern part of India, so
Okay.
we don't entirely resonate with the southern part, because if you're not exposed to the culture, you don't really know. Okay, so it's like you can't, like kids will start calling names and la 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 la. And I never particularly saw any faculty of the school opposing against that. I never felt like anyone was standing up for those people. It was just like, oh, just like, don't fight, or like, don't argue. It was never that what you're saying is wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And I
Was
feel like
it
that's something, huh?
like a malicious or yeah, aggressive kind of thing, or was it like
I don't know. I mean, like, after a certain point, it stopped feeling like it was either aggressive or anything. It just felt like everyone thought it was normal to be like that, to say these things. Because if you go to Northeast India, we have like people would call Indian people Chinese just because they look different. I
ah?
mean, like,
I have a friend who might be on our thing right now, and his name is Kankan
uh-huh.
Rob, and yeah, he looks very different to what I know as Indian, and he also, I met him in Milan, and he got flown out to do the Xenia show, which is
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, if you know Xenia,
Mm-hmm.
like he got flown out to do that, and yeah, he was like, one of the first Indian boys to do that, and
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, in my area, people call us Chinese, and I was like, but you're not Chinese. I'm Chinese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Ah,
Yeah. So that's also like one thing. I mean, like, growing up, I had to really understand that, like, everyone around me, like, is different inevitably, just because they don't look like what you're familiar with. I mean, in like, when you're young, like, you can be taught these things, but if everyone at home and everyone around you is just the same, it's like no one's teaching anyone anything. Everyone's just being, and just feels like they're free to say or do whatever they want.
all right. Everyone who has a question, put it in the questions box. The questions box is open, so don't write in the comments because we're talking and you just get lost. There's a lot of people on this thing, so write the questions, send your questions through. All right. So I have a question. Are your parents all from Delhi?
No,
Okay. So like,
my
uh,
my mom, she's my both my parents are from North India. But my mom, so my granddad, he was in the Navy, so my mom traveled India a lot. And so she was born in South, and then she went here, and then she was all over India the whole time. My dad, whereas, is from North India, but none of them are from Delhi. And you can tell that quite easily about them. Just
How?
because the way they are.
What? How in accent, in
No,
appearance?
just they were not born with the big city lifestyle.
Right.
They were born in smaller places. So just, it's just different. The upbringing is different.
So we met in London, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that New Delhi is like London? Big city. Yeah,
Big
just
city, yes, but London is like, no man. Like London is London. Like for me, like my
yeah,
experience in London is like London is for everyone.
yeah,
It's like everyone can be in London,
yeah,
and it doesn't matter where you're from. It's like like all the faces you look at, everyone just looks different, and it's amazing because it's like everyone's sitting in the same train, but everyone just is all from different places,
yeah, yeah.
and it's just in Delhi, it's like there might be there's a lot of people, like different people from India, but London's like a global city, Delhi's like the capital of India, so like everyone in India wants to be in Delhi, or like maybe even Mumbai, I don't know.
Okay, we're getting one question for LGBT. Let's just hash it out right now. Are we gonna talk about LGBT? Because it's not in my.
uh I mean, I'm not quite into the LGBT scene in India because
Because
I
it's
don't know,
straight.
like I don't really know what's going on, but I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like people should just like.
Fair enough. So, guys, we are not entertaining any LGBT questions tonight, and I'm sorry, because we're not close enough to the culture and the society to really comment about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna ask, your parents moved into Delhi, so their culture, right? I guess you already answered. Like they're quite strong. The culture that they have is quite similar to where they're from, instead of Delhi. But like for other people who have moved to other parts of India, or outside of India, with the whole diaspora, do you know
Mm-hmm.
that everyone's moved away? How close do they keep their culture, and how strong?
I mean, I feel like most people I know in India are very passionate about whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have to be one particular thing. People are really passionate. They're what they believe in with like everything they have, and it's hard
Good.
to break through people sometimes. Um, but then I feel like, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I feel like no matter what you believe in and where you come from, you should kind of contradict yourself sometimes. You should ask yourself why. Why do I believe in that? Why do I think that? But that's like my personal thing. But I feel like people, like I've met so many people who live outside of India, and their culture is intact, like full intact. Like
Yeah,
you
I
can
totally see that.
you can not, like, if you enter their house, you'll feel like you're in India now, you know
Mm,
and which is really cool, actually, like I think, because I mean, like, to me, culture doesn't have to mean that like you have to have like these rules or laws. It's just the way you want to carry your culture forward for yourself.
yeah,
And sometimes people kind of overboard it, but I'm no one to say. It's every each to their own.
everyone.
And but again, like I said, people are highly passionate, so like even me chatting this stuff can just be like triggering to some people.
So how we're actually getting one question that I think is very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of you experience racism in the UK? Uh, you wanna start?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I have. Um, I did. I mean, not always directly. Most never from that. Like, it was usually from I don't know if I should say this, but it was usually it was from English, native English people. Okay, it was not from Europeans, or it was not from anyone from any other country. Like, at least what I felt, and I felt it in my first year in uni, when I used to be in class, and it was like we had like I think two or three girls who were not English, and the rest of them were all English. So it was like this segregation between people. So it was like we just like did not exist, and then unless
Yeah.
we had to be spoken to. So that was really, really, really weird for me. I had never experienced something like that. I was lost. I was confused. I was like, is there something wrong with me? Like, do I behave weird? Am I like really like, do I come across as someone who's like, you shouldn't talk to or something? But then, I was lucky enough to make friends, who were European. They were not Indian or anything. So it wasn't like I was making like a clan, you know. It's just you just got along with people. But then eventually it was all right, you know. Like I feel like it's like they themselves had not met that many people from different cultures, and you kind of learn to adjust. But yeah, sometimes like you would go into a shop and then you'd know that the guy is racist, so you just leave. You know, it's
How would
just,
they say this to you?
I mean, it's like, let's say I'm in the store, and let's say you're English and you're in the store, and you're being really like, I ask you, like, let's say we're in a record store and I'm asking someone, oh, do you have the records for this band or that band? And they're just like, oh, yeah, 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 we've got this from this year, that year, we've got this cover, la, 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 la. And if I ask, I'm just like, hmm, you know, and
Right,
that's just like, bro, you know,
right, right, right,
it's weird. It's like, you don't
yeah,
really treat people like that, you know, no matter where they come from.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like for me, I always felt like, I am like 188. So to go off what Marv said, wouldn't that be discrimination? Yes, but like why do they think it's okay to do it? And
Mm.
that's racist. Like because the system allowed for it, and that's the difference between racism and discrimination. Discrimination happens, it's a human thing, but
Yeah, yeah,
racism
yeah, for sure.
is like the whole system um, that is like, I guess biased against towards or against a certain race, and that's why discrimination happens, and people are okay with it, and just let themselves get away with it. When we could really check ourselves and go like, actually, that was wrong what I did, because if you did wrong, but some people don't realize because the system has conditioned them to think that racism is okay, just like how
Yeah, 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 definitely.
and it just became normal. Um, so it doesn't make it less wrong. Um,
Definitely.
for me, I because I'm 188 centimeters. I'm very tall. Like there's not many tall Asians, and I always felt like I sorry, I always felt like a zoo exhibit. People look at me like, I can't believe this guy's so tall. Like,
Mm.
um, but the racism, like I moved to Holland first, and I was trying to apply for visa, and they kept telling me I had to go home. Um, that was that was super tough to take. Eventually I stayed and I made the
Mhm.
visa. Uh, I am all as a model. I make my bread, my plate, um, based off of being the token Asian. Uh, I'm sure you know what that means. That one Asian guy
Mhm.
that me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, I can't complain because I pay my rent from this. But to comment on the fashion industry uh, more widely, if a show had say 100 models, you have 15 Asian boys and brown boys, three, and then 8 black boys, and the rest are all white. you know, bald, long hair, different, you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and that's just the norm in the fashion industry. So
Mm,
I have experienced racism on every level, and yeah, sometimes people have been aggressive. There was a guy one time. I have this video on Facebook actually. He like I sit down and he comes sit next to me, and he's kind of drunk and he's like, "Where you from?" Like I'm pretending he doesn't exist, and he gets so pissed. He's like, asked you a question, and this black guy goes, he doesn't have to answer your question, and and he goes to the black guy, where are you from? And the black guy's like, I'm from London, and and he goes like, the white guy goes, Babylon, and I don't know, like I guess for them it's a racist term,
mm,
it's calling them a pagan or something, you know,
mm.
and then he started on all the colored folk in the train, and I didn't say anything. I just started filming because
Mm,
I'm not gonna get myself in trouble for this. You know,
yeah,
it's not none of my business. First of all, like this guy's drunkenness is none of my business. But like he literally started like, where you from? See, she knows where she's from. She knows to all the black people in the train,
yeah,
and like it's obvious what's going on, and then
yeah,
he threatened to get aggressive, but these two black kids came up with the rings and so on, and they're like, yeah, come at us, come at us, and then
yeah.
they left. So it happens, you know, and I was at one point I experienced it 3 weeks in a row. It was but when I was in Italy, yeah, they're very directly and straight up racist.
Yeah, you were there now, no? With
Yeah,
right
yeah,
before Corona,
yeah,
during,
yeah.
was it?
And then I passed through Germany on my way back, and at the border they were like, do you have Corona?" And I was like, "If I have Corona, I wouldn't be here right now,
Wait,
fucking idiot."
we literally have people being racist on chat, bro. Dude,
What's
will
going on?
Praful Patel just fuck off? Like, for real? That's
Who's saying
just,
what?
it's this guy, he's faceless, like he doesn't have a DP.
Dancing count high? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What
So,
was
chink is a nasty, nasty word. Like I
okay?
told you about the Northeasterns in India. So it's like you use the word chink to describe because
Like,
they're from, I don't really know what it means, but it means people
Chink
who
is a
have,
Chinese derogatory
yeah.
term. Yeah.
And you're actually not allowed to say it anymore, by the way.
So
Um,
what? Hi. Can we block this
Kon
guy?
hai means who is.
Uh, uh, Kon high means what? Sorry.
So basically the sentence goes like, who is this chink? Which
Yeah.
is a
Well,
direct racist term, bro. Like,
it's not
what the?
allowed here anymore.
Is there a way to get people off?
No, I've already kicked him off. Yeah, hide video from. Yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
We do not tolerate any of this shit.
Yeah,
So
of course,
be
of
careful
course.
if you are racist. Um.
Yeah.
So someone asked, if you get a chance to settle abroad, would you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, depends where. I feel like I still need to see a lot of India before that happens.
Yeah.
There's too much to see, too much to do, too many types of food to eat. Um, like I still haven't seen that much of India, but
Sorry,
I
one
do
second.
I do really
Sorry, one
enjoy traveling
second.
in general. So
Everybody, like, don't worry about it. We do not engage with racist people in a anti-racism chat. And everyone, if you're gonna comment, please comment appropriately and behave yourself, because I will kick you the fuck out, and I'm not playing. uh, so you were saying you would like to see more Indian, or more of India.
yeah, so I mean, although it does excite me to live anywhere, man. I mean, like I don't mind living in India, but like just not where I'm living now. Just like travel and just live in different places.
Cool. So so you've been abroad. Um, why did you go abroad?
Oh, that's a deep one, man. That hits me like. I was. I didn't. How do I put this in like not depressing words? Um, I was not.
Just be
I
honest,
didn't
you
feel
know.
free where I live. It was like this mental block of
Yeah.
like sadly of society of like having conflicts with yourself, whether I should be this or am I this, who am I, like what is going on. Everyone's always telling me who you should be and what you should be and like how you should dress and like where you should go and who you should go with. And I was tired, man. Like my brain was exhausted. And I remember like my last 2 years of school, I was like brain dead. Like I didn't talk properly, I didn't think properly, I didn't do anything properly. Like I was just like, I'm done, like I just want this to end. And eventually, like, school got over, so you get some kind of hopes that okay, at least that part of my life is done now. And maybe like now I can like do something more, like I can step out. And I was lucky enough to have such a blessed life and have such blessed family that they agreed to let me go and to like study and to study what I wanted to study. And like they really, they kind of pushed me. Like I was just like, I don't even want to go to university. It's such a norm. It's like what, like like you have to get a degree. I don't want to get a degree. And but like I found this course to do with makeup, and I was like, okay, then I want to do this. Like this is not like a degree just for the heck of having an education. This is for me to do something for myself.
So how did
And
you come across this university? Did you just look
oh,
worldwide?
so it wasn't that hard. We have like these, what do you say, like these platforms that help you find universities and apply to them. So I just went to them and I told them, listen, this is what I'm interested in. If you have what do you call it? If you have like any idea if a university gives these kind of courses, then you can let me know. And then instantly they were like, okay, we've got like 3 universities, all 3 of them are in UK. If you're interested, then like I can tell you the enrolling process and you can go along with it. So I looked them up, and then I just applied and I got in. And in fact, it was really, really late. Like my semester started in September and I applied in June, if not July. And I got through and it was all good.
Hey guys, peace and love out here, yeah. I will continue blocking if I don't like what I see. So did you feel excited? When you applied and you got accepted, you're like, oh my god,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was just like, what the heck is going on? Is my life a joke or what? I was really excited. I was also kind of numb. I didn't know what to think, what to expect, what to be. I was just like, all that was in my mind is that I'm getting the hell out of here. Like that's all I needed at the moment. Um, but funny thing, not even like 2 months in, I started, like my whole perspective towards where I came from started to change. Like I
Yeah.
started looking at home in such a new way.
You're like, oh my god, why did I
And
leave?
huh?
you're like you're like, why did I leave? Home is like paradise now.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like like people would always be like really intrigued. Like, where are you from? I'll be like, India, and they're like, oh my god, India is so beautiful, and India is so this, and I would not stop. I'd be like, da, 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 India is this, India is that, India is like this, India is like that. And then as I would talk, I would realize how amazing my country is, and like it's just crazy. It's like this, like the way our minds work, or like whatever. And yeah, I think it did me good. Like it was important for me to be away. But it did not just it wasn't that I hate where I come from, so I want to be somewhere else. It was more like I really wanted to experience something beyond what I know.
Yeah.
And I think UK was a really good place because the kind of, like, I met people from all over the world, man, like everywhere. And you just get to learn so much from everyone, right? It's like everyone is some like like different, but like you also are similar for some reason, you know, which was cool.
So we have my friend, thanks so much. We have my friend Reese. Monday was special with an interesting
Ah, I
question.
see.
I assume you're bilingual. Does the language you dream in change depending on the people you're around? For me, my first language is English, and a quick explanation of that is like I'm originally Malaysian Chinese, and my parents. So I was born in Malaysia, and my parents were educated in the 70s, and they were the because Malaysia was a British colony. They were the last generation to be educated in English, and that's why
Hmm.
my first language is English, and we speak English at home. On to you. Your
Ah,
first language.
my first language, my uh, what do you say, mother tongue, or like
Mm-hmm.
our language is Hindi. So it's my first language. It's the language I grew up in at home, and it's the language I spoke before any other language. And yeah, but I started learning English way early. Like I feel
Okay.
like you know, because it's like in India. So this is another thing. Okay, this is like another stigma we have. Um, Especially where I come from, I would say it's like while growing up, it's like I didn't speak that good English. Okay, I was a child. I was like barely like 6, 7, 8, and my English was broken, and I couldn't really form sentences well. My pronunciations were off, and my Hindi was like you know. So
Okay.
like it was this thing that like you had to speak proper English for you to be considered like you know, just like I don't know. It's like it was just like this thing. If you spoke good English, people looked at you differently. They talked to you differently, or like whatever, you know.
I always
And
arrogance going to school. I was like, yeah, I might be shit at all these languages, but my English is like the best in the year. So, um, it was probably because I was just really bad at all the other languages. Malaysian
yeah,
Chinese
yeah, yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
the one thing I had, but
Yeah, I mean, like I just think that English is fair, like and like fairly easy language, especially if you learn it earlier.
yeah.
It's like it's not that hard to learn. Like I learned French for 6 years, man, and I can barely speak like 10 words. I can't even form full sentences. So I mean, yeah, I do only speak two languages, and this Hindi. But in India, it's really cool, man. Like, basically, so much of our
Do you
Hindi
dream in Hindi or English?
here.
Do
So
you
I'm getting
dream?
to that.
Yeah,
Oh, do I
sorry.
dream? Uh,
Yeah,
I dream. I think in English, which is weird. Yeah, I
like if
dream in
you
English.
if you like met someone, I don't know, like that struck you, would you like dream in Hindi that night? Do you remember?
I don't know. I don't actually recall. I recall a lot of my dreams, but I don't recall the language being spoken. Also, because I don't really imagine interactions in my dream. I just imagine like visuals.
You don't talk to people in your dreams?
No.
Fuck.
Yeah, my dreams are really messed up, dude. We don't want to go there.
I know you're Virgo, so I can relate. Um,
Mm.
yeah. Lone wolf mentality. Uh, cool. You were gonna say sorry.
I can't remember anymore. Oh yeah, I was talking about Hinglish. So we have this term in India called Hinglish, which is like a mixture of Hindi and English. So it's like when you talk in Hindi, you like punch in a few English words in it, or you're talking in Hindi, like English, and you punch in like a few Hindi words in it. And that's like how I talk to my friends. It's like the most comfortable way for me to talk. It's like when
Mhm.
you can't think like quickly of a word in English, you just say it in Hindi, you know, or like vice
Yeah.
versa. And it's a really comfortable way to talk. I love it. I love English. It's my favorite language.
Cool. So everybody, type your flags. Type your flags. So
Virgo
growing up,
gang. We have another Virgo
yeah,
with
yeah,
us.
yeah. David is also a Virgo. Uh, so yeah,
Nice.
growing up, I also spoke this in Malaysia they call it Manglish, but I also grew up in Singapore for a little bit. I studied
Mm-hmm.
there for 6 years, so they have Singlish, um, and it was like 11 to 16 for me, so it was very formative years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so we also have our own version of English, and it's a mix with the Chinese language. It's mixed with Malay, and it's also got a bit of I guess Tamil, because
Ooh.
because there's lots of Indians
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah. I'm aware. Yeah.
Singapore. But yeah, I guess they're mostly Hindus, but they speak Tamil or Sikh, probably. I think.
I'll have to explain that to you another time.
Right. Cool, cool, cool. We are approaching our last 15 minutes.
All
This went
right.
quick. This went
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, I
We
did.
could,
I didn't look
we
at the
could go
time.
for, yeah, we could go for a second hour. What do you think? I don't know. Are you free?
I mean, could do maybe like another half an hour, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we can wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
let's go for the questions now. Let's go for the
Cool.
question. So, um, a lot of LGBT
Cats.
future
My
plans.
friend is here.
Um, can you tell the crowd what college did you graduate from in the UK?
Well, I went to a uni called Solent in Southampton,
Yeah,
and that's it. That was the university.
cool. So
And
let's
yeah, it has a lot
go.
of cool vocational courses. Oh yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah. That's a
go.
good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Fair and
Go
Lovely.
to
Yeah, I was supposed. I told
Fair
you about
and
this
Lovely
yesterday.
stream.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, so I was that's okay. Basically, we have this thing called Fair and Lovely, and then we have this thing called Fair and Handsome, which obviously translates to being fairer and more
Oh,
beautiful, or
fair
being
and handsome.
fairer and more handsome.
Handsome.
And most people in India are fairly dusky, or on the darker side. Okay, and it's like it's too and honestly, as a kid, I actually used to think it works. Okay, because they advertise it like that. They advertise showing that, like, if you're and like the way they show it is like if you're duskier or you're darker, you need to be fairer to look beautiful, with this whole Western colonized thought of beauty, like, just like this horrible thing which I wish never existed. But sadly it does, and it's deeply rooted in people, like deeply. Like, I know people, not even girls, man, guys who are afraid, like my friends who are afraid to go out in the sun because they're gonna get tan, and they feel like they won't look good if they get tan because they're getting darker. And which is just weird. It's absurd to me. um and even like in people who are like, maybe like, in my mom's generation or the generation before her, and so many songs we have, so many poems we have, they all talk about like beautiful fair women, like
Right.
like women being like really really fair, or like we have a word called gora or gori. Okay, like it's gora is masculine and gori is feminine. And it's like that's used so much even now in like a contemporary music scene or whatever, which is horrible, because it's like we're so far from all those things now that, like, at least now people should like bring show how diverse beauty is. It's not like this one idea that's like, so it's all imaginary, man. Like, basically it's all just bullshit, and it's imaginary, and there's no thing as like I just have so much like anger towards this. But like, apparently I read somewhere that Fair and Lovely is no longer, like, the cream brand is no longer allowed to advertise in India, which is awesome. Love that.
Well, like me and Marv spoke about this last week. Skin whitening. Why like um why is lighter considered more beautiful? And we feel it goes back to colonialization.
Colonial times, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Colonization. time. You get me?
Yeah.
Where basically what happened during colonization is white people had money, came to our land and put us to work.
Mm.
You know, that's what happened. And because they, even though we were not slaves, okay, we're not slaves, and let's not put it on the same level. They kind of owned us, right? And they owned our mentality. And so after they've left, how I see it is a mental trauma. It's like a scar. And you know, it's hard to break out of that, because it's hard to break out of a bad habit, first of all, let alone a
Mm-hmm.
generational cycle, let alone a mental scar that has lasted generations. So that's why I feel this beauty ideal of fairer is better, is you know, prevalent today. And for you to have said, yeah, growing up I thought it works, and I used to see it at, where did you see it advertised? TV,
TV
news,
all the time, man, all the time. TV,
all the
billboards, like
time,
whatever it was just there. And everyone
billboard.
knew it. Everyone knows it. Like every Indian knows Fair and Lovely, no matter what kind of background they come from. You know Fair and Lovely, whether
Yeah,
you like it or not. You know, like you're aware of it.
so it was like we have Nepal in the house. Rob, uh he's also a model.
Nah.
That's cool. I didn't know you're Nepalese. What's up, bro? um yeah, it's like if everyone knows about it, then I guess it's okay, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, but yeah, like we should really be taught instead to love ourselves, instead of putting creams to change who we are. Um,
Yeah, but like, it's not going to benefit all these industries if people start loving themselves so much.
you know,
You see how the system works now. You know it.
I'm gonna give you a very real example. When I moved to Europe, love bro. When I moved to Europe, I tried to fit in, and I tried to be what I thought people wanted me to be, to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just have it easier, I guess, to fit in quicker, and but it didn't work. And what actually happened was I almost lost myself. Like I almost lost my identity because I tried to be someone else, and then I just forgot who I was. And I was, you know, so close. And I guess moving to London was because I couldn't find a job. I was living in Holland, and they were like, "You have to speak Dutch," and I was like, "Man, like I can't speak Dutch like that, you know. Like, I have
Yeah,
to learn." And it was just a tough time, really. And then I moved to London, and I was like, "All right, I can speak English again," and I really found myself. I spent 2 years there, and yeah, it was tough, you know. London is not an easy place, but
definitely, definitely.
I found myself again. I found my feet again. So I'm very grateful for that. We
Yeah.
have 7 minutes left. Um, you know, I was going to ask you about the music thing, but you already said it. Like in music and in poems, like they talk about Pharaoh is beautiful.
I mean,
That
you could find um what was I saying? You could find some poems and stuff that don't really necessarily talk about beauty as fair, you know. But as a mainstream thing,
Mm.
that's kind of what it is.
How do you
And
think? How do you think people
even
who are dark feel?
oh, shit, man, like who wants to feel like that? Who wants to be told that your beauty is not beauty,
What
you
about
know?
in 2020?
So like I was just gonna mention that like for the longest time, so you know Bollywood, right?
Mhm.
It's like a lot of times, like let's say like a Bollywood actress is brilliant, but they're always like, oh, she's dark, but she acts well. So I'm just like, why is that a part of the thing? That like, why is her complexion, an interference into her form of art? You know, like
Yeah.
why does it affect anything? Um,
Yeah.
but it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's just so inherited in people. They're inevitably thinking like this without ever questioning why we're thinking like this, you know?
Yeah, it's like I've been told like, yeah, you're very handsome for an Asian, or you're very tall for an Asian. Like I can be tall and handsome and be Asian. Like
Mm.
how is that like do I have to be blonde and blue-eyed? And I honestly I do feel like starting out my modeling career that I would get more jobs if I was blonde and blue-eyed. I definitely like yeah, I definitely felt that. So
Mm. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, going back to the Fair and Lovely thing, I do kind of recollect, I think when it was like early puberty, I guess, or like I was like in my early teens. And I used to hate the fact that I was not white, man. I hated it. I was like, why am I brown? You know, like, why am I in this? And like, my whole idea of beauty was so like, it just, I saw myself as ugly, you know. I looked at myself in the mirror, and for years I was just like, man, I'm just ugly, you know, like I don't look good.
But you're not
And
ugly.
dude, I mean, I learned that. I mean, I'm beyond that stage. I'm talking about when I was growing up, you know. It was just it's like, it's because in your head you're bound to believe that like this is beautiful and then this is ugly, okay. And if you don't fit into this, then you're automatically this, you know. It can't be that this is also beautiful. It's just not this, you know. And you're too young to question yourself so much. You're just like, okay, I'm not white, I don't have blue eyes, and I don't have like this pale skin, that means I'm ugly. And it was tough,
Yeah,
like
it's
to
always like,
actually
oh,
look at yourself in the mirror and feel like, oh, I look good, you know. Like I like
yeah.
myself. It was a process, I would say.
Yeah, it really wasn't until I started modeling and I was like scouted, you know, and someone was like, hey, I want to take pictures of you. You look perfect. And like at that point, I was like, it started, it took years, you know, but it was like, I started to change how I saw myself and yeah, it's, you know, it's a conditioning, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
what we've told, what we've been taught to think, and it really comes back from, you know, the hierarchy in society, that we look at ourselves as, you know, not equals really,
Yeah.
but I'm glad it's 2020 and we have Instagram and we can talk about these things openly
Yeah,
because
definitely, definitely.
you know, many people need to realize that they're beautiful for who they are,
For
and
sure. For
that's
sure.
what I'm about. Yeah. All right. Racism and beauty constructs are so different. They may be two sides of the same coin, but talk about racism, and I feel perhaps we are losing a point. Can you please um extend go more, elaborate, please. Elaborate, that's the word. My God.
What,
Racism
me
and beauty constructs. No,
or
this
who?
comment here. Racism and beauty constructs are so different. They may be two sides of the same coin, but talk about racism and I feel we are losing a point. So beauty constructs and racism, that's it's so good. Thank you for this point. So beauty constructs, um, in many cultures, like I've spoken to, 2 minutes to do this. I've spoken to many dark-skinned people, and all of them say, yeah, uh, talk about this skin whitening thing, and that fairer is better. So, the relation to racism is, I feel like, you know, as racism is a systemic um, mentality, um, that the racism, you know, makes it sort of taboo to say that I am beautiful, um, that my dark skin is beautiful, um, and mm, like I guess it just like gives more room, with the silence, for these negative thoughts about ourselves to you know grow and to give birth, and stuff. So
I just can I interrupt? I just feel like racism and beauty constructs are just hand in hand. They're just
yeah,
they both exist because of each other. You know, if there was no particular beauty constructs, racism would be a lot lesser. You know, in a lot of ways.
yeah.
Whereas if there was no racism, there would not really be.
Fuck, 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 fuck. Guys, our live stream fucking shat itself really, and um but we were talking about beauty constructs and shit. Sorry, so
What
sorry.
just happened?
Like it ends after an hour,
Oh
and
damn! And did you save it?
it didn't have the button, but I will screen record it. I will do it, and I will screen record it for the whole hour because this was super
But it's
good.
not gonna show. It's not gonna have audio in the screen
No.
recording.
Like I saved to story, so if you record
Okay,
your
okay, okay, okay. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Nice.
cool, cool. Cool. So let's jump back in. Beauty
Yeah.
construct and racism.
So as I was saying, for me, like in what I think is that they're just if one exists, the other automatically exists. You know, if one doesn't exist, the other automatically just goes away. So
Yes.
beauty constructs and racism kind of just like they're just supporting each other. You know, and because again a lot to do with like white supremacy and that, you know, that's why like
Yeah.
mainstream beauty is considered like white and like skinny and blonde and stuff like that. It's because that's what the beginning of it was for the world to see, you know,
I
that
guess
this is beautiful.
it's that supremacy that brings about the privilege aspect of it that you know um you know really feeds the racism where they like, okay, this is beautiful, this is beauty, instead of like looking around and saying like, like I mean, you can't really fault someone for being loud and proud and saying, but like definitely we can do better. And again, that's why we're here. So thank you all for
Plus,
joining us. Cool. Anything else you want to say? I never thought of it like that. Beauty ideals and racism as such a
I
close
always
thing.
so I'll take you back to my like me studying makeup, right? So
Mm.
obviously me being, I told you, like I lived in Delhi, it was very limited amount of faces I was seeing. It was not like I was seeing people from all over the world or anything, you know, like or either from all over India as well. But UK was good for me because it I saw so many faces and I found beauty in all of them. I was
Mhm.
like, man, there's mad beautiful people in the world, you know.
Yeah.
And like it just, even like my idea of makeup, it totally changed because it's like you see makeup as this thing. Wait, there's a huge and it being great in our society, it is slowly changing. The more people of color get into power, the more a wide or diverse construct is being globalized. Um, yeah,
It's slow.
definitely.
It's very
But
slow, and we need things
but
like
yeah,
this.
but like you
That's
have to
why we're starting.
understand that like here we're discussing this, whereas we still have people on the chat who can be racist, you know, and like you might think in a certain way because you confine yourself to a particular type of people and you hear them, right? And you might be like all in for like what you believe in and that the world is like you know, diverse and beautiful and unified and this that, but you can't speak for everybody and everyone is not like that. And it's a long way to make people like that because it's so ingrained in people to be just to discriminate on multiple levels, and that causes them to be racist, you know. And I'm sure a lot of people who've especially been abroad or lived in white majority countries would have definitely experienced it at least mildly once or twice, you know.
Cool. Sorry, there's so much interaction now. What the fuck? Everyone's shooting at us with paragraphs and shit. And
Yeah, damn.
if you do have a question, put it in the question box, okay?
Yeah,
Um,
there's a, is that a question box?
there is a question box, yeah.
I
The
don't see
question,
it anymore.
because I'm holding the live stream.
Yeah, okay, but last time I could still see it, and it was like
Uh,
showing up. Mm.
like no, there's no questions now. There's no questions now.
Mm.
All right. Um. Well, I'll end off with this. Where do Indians feel they belong in Asia? Do you feel you're a majority? Do you feel you're a minority?
Never thought about that. I mean, like
Hmm.
when when someone says like Asian, they never mean like are Asians, you know? Like
There's
so
no
many
shade
times
for
people would like talk to me and they were like, "Oh, I met this person. He's I think somewhere from Asia," and I'm just like, does he look like me or something? Because like I'm from Asia. But no, I don't think we have that. I don't think that is a problem. I can't speak for everyone, man. Like I can't speak for India, bro. It's too big. I can only
Hey,
speak for myself.
we have another racist comment. All right,
Oh,
I will report
get him
you.
off.
Abusive and India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. I'm okay, cool. All right, cool. Reported.
Cool.
You don't deserve our goodness. Anyway,
That's what I mean. Like that. I think that girl who was asking that question about how like people are becoming like more aware. Um, I just understand that they're not really.
yo, Shivangi, this is my friend Aisha. She's
I
from
see.
Pakistan, and
Nice.
yeah, and she grew up in Birmingham, and more recently in Holland, and yeah, and she's a great model, and she's doing very well. Uh,
Nice.
although the industry is doing really badly right now, but yeah, she's one of the few brown girls on the and doing it good. So say hi to Aisha. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
All right, let's go
Nice.
back to do you feel because you know obviously when we say Asian, we don't actually
Mhm.
say and I heard this term for the first time in London, East Asian, which you are, you know, in the I don't know, like
Hmm.
yeah, there's
People are like
like
Southeast also, they say that.
Southeast Asian is like Malaysia up to Cambodia, Myanmar or something, Vietnam maybe, and um, and India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, is South Asian. South
Yeah,
Asian.
yeah.
Yeah,
But like,
yes.
yeah. We're South Asians.
So, do you feel like you know you are almost separate from Asia, because it's so different? Or...
I feel like, yeah, we're kind of like a subcontinent. We kind of live within the country surrounding our country to a certain
Oh,
extent.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I don't think people think about it or talk about it in a sense that we generally feel segregated from Asia. But it's just not an occurring thought. It's just, we've got our subcontinent, we've got the country surrounding us, and China it touches borders with India. So
yeah,
it's like you can't really feel like you're not a part of Asia, because it's like
yeah.
we're all like kind of connected. And
Do you say it comes from a place of pride? Where you're like,
huh?
yeah, I'm so proud to be Indian or so proud to be brown that I'm just doing my own thing, uh, and instead of
I mean, I feel like
included.
most Indians are proud to be Indians. I mean, like, there's times that you're not because, like, you see, like, oh, but there's so much fucked up shit happening in my country, and like, ah, la, 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 la. But then there comes this one point where it's just like, man, you know, like, especially like when when like someone is targeting you or like you being an Indian, you know, and then you're just like defense mode, and you're like, dude, I'm Indian and I'm proud, you know, and which is cool. I mean, like, I feel like you should feel, I mean, if you have reason to, you should feel proud where you come from, and you should be grateful for it, because I only became grateful for where I come from when I lived away. Okay, I realized how much I have that people in so many countries in the world don't have or will never have. um, the the culture, the experiences, the values, or you know, just like um, just the environment in general. You know, it's like it's so unique that you can't feel like you
I want to
want
come visit.
anything else.
I want to come visit.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think everyone should come visit India, man. It's epic.
How long do you think I should stay?
Huh?
You said at least 2 weeks, but you think maybe 4 weeks would
Four,
be good?
5, two
Ooh,
months.
2 months.
Then
Oh
you could
man.
see a lot. You could see so much, so much.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, we can arrange it. It's just a matter of money, and I'm sure it's cheap in India.
I mean, you
So
could do a lot in 1 month as well, honestly. But it'll just be like more hectic, I guess.
yeah, I like to chill.
But yeah.
India is considered. So we're gonna go on to questions next. We have 3 questions, but let me just read this thing from
It's
Ita.
Vinita who agrees with me. She
India
says,
is
come to
considered
India. It's
like
an epic stay for a month.
so sometimes when yeah, I wanna go. So sometimes when people say in Asian, they don't really mean Southeast Asian. They mean okay,
Huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because in the UK,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
when they say Asian, sometimes they mean Indian. But you know, my from my perspective, that's different, obviously.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I guess for you too, you've never been called Asian, right?
I've been no South Asian only. I've only been called South Asian. I've been called Indian. Um, I think people say like, oh, but you're not like an Asian, and I'm just like, I don't
Yeah,
know what the hell that means,
yeah, yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like, stop putting such terms in my head, man. Like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Cool, cool, cool. Reese is from West India. He's Jamaican. Is that is that the
nice. That's
is that the
West
same?
Indies, no? I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because my knowledge of that area. So you feel similar to each other in
I
these
don't
in this
know. Many people from there, but like, I
relation
do
in
like a lot of people who from Africa. With them, I resonate a lot for some reason. Or maybe
yeah.
it's like we have similar like food, or like I don't know, like the family culture or something. I don't know. It's something I feel like when like all the people I met from Africa, like we kind of related on these things, you know. So you feel some kind of like comfort, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a vibe thing for sure, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna go into questions. We have 3 questions. They are all pretty good, I think.
Okay.
And
What do you
uh,
think about people who are
all right.
racist and discriminate
So,
people?
what do you think about people? How do I? Ugh. What do you think about people who are racist and discriminate people on the basis of color? Because I am dusky and have been called black many times. Da 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 da. What do I think about people who are racist and discriminate? I think first of all, like for someone, because like discrimination happen, for all of us. But like to let it act out on someone else, yeah,
Hmm.
you're bringing out that negative energy, and that negative energy only comes from inside. So there must be a lot of negative energy inside, whether it comes from a place of ignorance, um, or maliciousness or aggression is another matter. But like I feel like if you because you can always bite your tongue before you say something. You can always put your hands in your pocket before you do something. I've had people in Italy see me on the street and go, because coronavirus, you can obviously not do that instead. And like I feel like they do it because they feel they can get away with it,
Mm,
and they um it's just like they see us as less, and yeah, they have bad energy inside of them, and like it ranges right from
mm,
like how bad it is. So if it's really bad, I would say that yeah, they have unresolved issues and anger and hate. It could become hate, and that's something that you have to deal with. And if it's not dealt with, then yeah. What about you?
well, I would say pretty much the same thing. Like, I totally agree with what you say. And like, especially with the energies, man. Like, but besides that, like, I highly believe in energies and like what kind of energies people keep themselves with. That's what they give off. So, like, what I have inside is what I give off outside. But besides that, I would say that it has a lot too much to do with the the ideas of like people being less or more ingrained since like centuries even. And it's not, I mean, we're only now at a point where we've got like so global, or we've got like people are more free than they ever have been before, right?
Mm.
And so now it's like, now is the time to actually um, get people to change. But for that, like, everyone has to raise their voice at some point, like
Yeah, the
um
people have to speak. Yeah, for sure. I guess
and
I guess the thing is like it is the racist nature of the system that these things happen, that they are in, that gives them the perception of power, and
mm,
think that they can get away with it because yeah,
yeah,
everybody does it. Um, because yeah, the system allows for it. It encourages. This is how I explain the difference between racism and discrimination. It's like if I were to go to school here, right, as a kid, and someone uh, comes to me and go, "Hey, Chinky boy," I'm like, screw you. I like don't call me that. He's like, oh what? I'm just joking, man. What you can't take jokes, man. And I'm like, yeah, but like it's wrong what you just said to me. And yeah, and they go like, oh yeah, but it's just jokes, man. It's just jokes, man. And then you maybe get a friend over and it's like, yeah, you can't take jokes, man. And then it's two against one, and two's the crowd, and then the crowd comes, and that's how I illustrate what racism is.
yeah,
Racism is the system, you know, against, and discrimination is one thing, but when the system, allows for it,
racism, yeah.
I would to say like fuck all of you, man, like this shit's wrong, and I'll be the crazy one. So um yeah, that's the racist nature. Yeah, how racism is systemic,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why people think yeah, they can do racist things, and that's why they do that. So the next question is, where do you guys belong to, and are you
Are you
habitual to your
habitual to your rituals?
ritual?
Do you want to go first?
Would you like to?
Either way, I could go. So I belong to India, of course, New Delhi, the capital. And I mean, I'm Hindu, if rituals is what you mean by religion. And I'm not like highly religious. or I follow like every single thing in detail, but I've decided at what level I would want to indulge, in rituals. And so I do as
Like,
much as I feel is required for my peace of mind, or like me to feel good. And yeah, that's about it.
about like culturally, do you do Indian things? Do you cook Indian food when you were
Of
away?
course, man. If you live in India, you're eating Indian food every day.
So
you're
when you were
you're
away, cooking Indian food?
huh.
When you were away, did you cook Indian food?
Mm.
Okay,
Well,
but I'm sure you got lots of Indian takeout, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Loads, loads, loads.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because like you just want to taste the home, really.
yeah, yeah,
And that to me that is a ritual. Like it might not be religious, but a ritual is like you sometimes you just want to have a smell. Um, you
yeah,
wanna
yeah. I like that thought. That's really nice. I like the way you said that.
yeah like for because I went to Europe and I stayed. I made it happen, right? But like it took years and like the first time I went back to Malaysia after that, it was like 2 whole years. And before that, I hadn't gone back, so it was 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I had in such a foreign land, and and it was cold, and people were very tall, and always told me they can't speak English, and going
Yeah,
to Malaysia is like sun and sounds and
yeah,
lights,
yeah, 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 yeah. I
and
imagine that.
I realized that a ritual is actually I call it personal culture. Like you know, your person, like what is it? Why is it? And that's why like I realized like I can be from so many places. I've lived in 7 countries, 8 cities, and I but my body comes from Malaysia, and that's something that I can't change. So that's why
Mm,
I'm Malaysian, and no matter what I am, like
mm,
I will always like for me cooking, I love cooking is like wherever I told my friend this, for all my friends who can't cook, learn to cook your home food because when you move or when you go somewhere else and if you have such a hard time not knowing anyone and in such a foreign land, you're not used to it, you always can bring a piece of home with you.
yeah,
And
definitely.
that is a very important part of my daily life, like rituals, like my food. My food is very important to me. So yeah. So we are talking about racism, guys. If you have not
If you
clocked,
have just joined, yeah.
we have just joined. We are talking about racism, and now we're answering questions. So Marvel has a question.
My
Uh,
aunt, my aunt says, great question, and she says that she's habitual to her meditation as a form of ritual, which I can actually resonate with because yoga is a huge part of our culture, right?
yes.
And it's something I've taken up as well, and something my parents do as well. So that's like something I keep up with on a daily basis, which is pretty cool.
That's cool. That's
Hmm.
cool. What do I do? I think like for me, like Chinese New Year, I try to go into Chinatown. I miss a
Nice.
lot of Chinese New Year's, and it really makes me sad. But I try to
Yeah.
go in and just to hear some sounds and to drink some tea, um, and
Yeah.
eat mooncake or mooncake festival. I actually try to bring people on any cultural occasions to into Chinatown so I can tell them some stories. Uh, I'm from Malaysia originally from Malaysia, not from Australia. Hey, um, yeah, like I try to tell bring my culture to other people and to share my world
Mm,
really. That's
definitely. Yeah.
That's something I try to do. Okay. So, is there such a thing as natural complexion privilege in India? Is there?
Uh, mm, okay, so I can only speak for North India because I haven't lived in South, and people down South have duskier skin than the ones living in North. For uh, can't exactly say for what reasons. Maybe some people could comment to give me some knowledge about that. But I think it's got to do a lot with the invading and everything we had as well. You know, like because there was a lot of cross cultures happening, and like we were invaded for years, you know, centuries, and maybe that caused it or climate. I don't know, but I was reading somewhere about how even now, you know, like people who are slightly duskier, even if they come from like, even if like they come from wealthy families or whatever, they kind of feel different. Like they feel like a person, like they feel like if a person is has a complexion that might be lighter, it's it's some kind of like oh, at least you have a fair skin, you know, like it's as if it's a privilege. And someone, like people have told me that, my friends have told me that while growing up, and it was really strange for me to hear because I was just like, what are you guys on about, you know? But it just shows you how you know, the mentality of people is actually built, um
Do you
which
like
is
say get more food at your street stall?
huh.
Because would you know if you had a dog friend and you ordered the same thing for the same amount of money, would you get a bit more? Or
Oh no, 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 no. I don't think it's like that. No, no, no. I mean, actually, I don't know.
what about getting a job? You know? Yeah, I guess you don't know.
I mean,
Pay attention.
I wouldn't know that much, but like, I would say that it is kind of slightly there, you know. I
Mm.
mean, because it's like it's a very casual thing that comes across when someone speaks or, you know, form the sentences, and like with this undertone sometimes if we're talking about a topic that could relate to like like, you know, the color of a person or just a person, you know, just the color kind of slips in somehow, you know, like let's say and in India, like marriage is huge, okay, like marriage is like everything
Yeah,
for like some
yeah,
families.
yeah. Dark skin, light skin marriage. Would that
Yeah,
count?
so like a lot of times you would hear, like I have heard like women talk about like their you know, like their sons or their daughters being married to like someone who is like not good looking enough because they're slightly darker.
Mm.
And it's like you can't like for how, like, you know, as like I would like tell them off. I would be like, that's, why would you think like that, you know, like that person is beautiful and they're in love and that's all that matters. But they're like, yeah, but you know, and no, I don't I don't know, you know. And it's just yeah, I would say it kind of mildly does exist. But then again, like in India, like we have a lot of different how do you say, like
Rebels.
now, like it was castes then and now it's just like classes, I would say, like they're undescribed classes, you know. And it still exists, man. Like a lot of shit exists. It's too much.
So it's like it used to be caste. Is the caste system like
Yeah,
still?
yeah, even now, like a lot of places and a lot of people still believe and follow it. Like I can I mean, you still hear about like in rural areas and villages about a lot of caste related stuff. um and obviously I'm far from it because I live in Delhi and it's just like this bubble. But there's
Metropolitan city.
huh.
Metropolitan city.
Yeah, and like you're just so far from all of India in general, you know, like I told you before, like I haven't really seen India, you know. I've just seen like some bits of it and that's about it. And obviously just where I'm from. So it's just when you hear when you hear about people who are actually taking time out from their life to travel and to explore the country, and then when they come back and tell you that like, okay, people here, they still do these things or they still have these rituals, and then you're just like kind of disgusted and you're like, shit man, people still like that. Like we're like really far ahead now, you know, like. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's
they kill animals and stuff to sacrifice and pay them what.
uh I don't know, like I was talking more like in terms of like the role of women and that in like
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. Ah, that's a like we are not ready for a sexism talk here.
Yeah. That's for another one.
We have two more questions.
Hmm.
Do you have any ideals of beauty?
Me?
Yeah, tell us.
No.
No. Okay, that's done. We think that everyone is beautiful in their own
I
way,
mean,
and
and if you're talking superficially, yeah.
yeah. So, next one is how do you feel about the British reclaiming Indian food as the national dish?
Um, Stupid. I mean, I've eaten Indian food and like, I mean, I would say in all of UK, wherever I've eaten Indian food, like in Southampton, there was one good place. Okay, I would say two. One was South Indian and one
Yeah,
was North Indian.
that's great.
And
Always.
then there was one place in London that I absolutely loved. Um, but besides that, every time I ate at an Indian place, ugh, it was horrible. And and every
Really?
time some English person would come and tell me, "Oh, I love Indian food," I would automatically know they've had the worst possible tasting food in the world, and I don't know why, but they love that. And it's horrible. Like, why? Why would you want to eat that? You know, it's just like it's not right. There's nothing right with it. It's just watery and tasteless.
Oh, it's like oily, bland, very.
I mean, you know, like how it looks like it's got a lot. It has a lot of color, so you imagine that, and it smells a lot. So you'll feel like it's gonna really taste really nice. But when you put it in your mouth, it has nothing. Nothing.
I imagine for you it would be a lot more. The disparity would be huge.
Yeah. It was hard finding places I liked Indian food at.
In Australia, we have good Indian food. I would.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
it's good here. Yep, that is it for the questions. I guess for
Cool.
beauty ideals, we would love everyone to be proud of who they are. Because
Always, and feel
God gave this
beautiful
body and
as you are, and radiate beauty from within you, and you will get that back.
true beauty comes from within.
Yeah, definitely.
The one thing I love, like sometimes a girl can really get me, with a smile, like a real smile, and like don't try to be anyone else. Just be yourself, and there is a
Yeah,
place for everyone in this earth. So you just gotta know what you want, and if you don't know who you are, then look for who you are, and you will find yourself, and you start from there.
definitely.
And you have to be strong to stake your strength.
Definitely. And it's a process, but it's a beautiful process to discover
Yeah,
who you are.
this is the last question. Where did you learn makeup from? They wanted to know.
From you.
Hello, hey,
It's a university called Solent in Southampton.
stolen in Southampton.
And yeah, they should make me like a sponsor
And they
person.
should pay you.
Yeah.
Cool. In Southampton, guys, Southampton, uh, football club and stuff. Guys, we are at the end of our live stream. It's been 1.5 hours. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you,
Thanks,
Shivangi.
peeps.
Thank Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate all of you for coming and joining us on our journey. This is an initiative started by young people, and we're trying to make this happen into a real thing. And every step counts. And everyone who joins us, follow not all of us. It's me behind the page, and I'm starting, and I'm gonna type for you, man. Quit bugging me, man. All right, Solent. Yeah, we have this live stream now. Awesome, awesome stuff. Thank you all. Thank you, Shivangi's mom. Uh, so cute. And yeah, um, I'm gonna post from there. So really share and follow and join us for the next session. It will be this time next week. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
love Indian food.
Thanks to
Love Indian
everyone for
food.
being such good audience. It was really fun. It was really, really fun.
I'll come to India at some point, so get ready.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. This is the all Asian live stream for tonight. This is it. Thank you so much. Much love, everybody. Bye. See you.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye. Thanks so much.